The controversial new series of MasterChef returns this week, despite the BBC sacking its two lead presenters, Greg Wallace and John Turturro, just last month after substantiated separate complaints were made against both of them.
The BBC is now facing, excuse me, the BBC is now facing mounting pressure to reconsider airing the series, but someone who won't appear on screen, even though she was in the series, is contestant Sarah Shafi, because she says she was offered the so-called solution of being edited out of the new series after she called for it to be scrapped. And Sarah joins us now. So you firmly believe that it shouldn't have gone ahead at all. What was your experience on it?
It's hard to sort of go in, you know, how much I can really talk about the actual experience, but it was just that, for me, it didn't feel as faithful to the food as I thought it would be, and at the same time, I felt it was uncomfortable around the presenters.
So, Greg Wallace was the first to be highlighted and fired. Was it him that you had issues with?
I think when I spoke with Newsnight last week, and I said it wasn't a big deal for me. You know, I think I'm an older woman, and you know, a woman of that certain age, and you can kind of spot them. You know, that sort of creep, and you just go, yeah, I'll just get on with it. You know,
and you spotted it.
Yeah.
And so it made you feel. I don't want to reveal anything that's either uncomfortable for you or is not something that we should be discussing, but you just felt uncomfortable and like you didn't want to be part of it.
Yeah, I just felt after I left the show, I think the main thing I felt was relief. Yeah.
OK, so not sad to be out of the show, because, of course, it's a competition which provides incredible opportunities for people if they do well in it.
And isn't that the dilemma here for Banjay and for the BBC? Because on the one hand, for you, felt very uncomfortable, didn't want to appear. For other contestants who I'm sure would agree with you about your sentiments about the presenters who are now being removed from the show in the future, for them, a chance of a lifetime. We know that the winner of MasterChef can go on to have huge change in their career. And so for them, for suddenly the show to be taken off air entirely would be a huge blow, especially to the winner. And so it is hard for the BBC and for Banjay, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, totally. And I have said right from the beginning, this isn't about me. This isn't about the particular experience, although that just kind of gave me insight into, you know, just a kind of a taste of that. There's a sort of masculine toxicity. And I just thought, I don't want to really be part of that. But for me, it was about when whatever they say, I did actually make it clear within the days after the filming that I felt uncomfortable.
Banjay have said they couldn't find evidence on the rushes that you had had an incident or that you had reported it, but you clearly felt that, experienced it, and said to people that's what's happened.
If you know, I know what happened, and I know what I reported, and I know what I spoke about, you know, I've got my own evidence for that. So
yeah.
But on the wider dilemma for them, I mean, there would be others of the contestants who would disagree with you. They would agree with you about the behaviour of those presenters, but they would say, don't deny us our chance, which we invested weeks and months of our lives in.
I hear completely what you're saying, and right from the very start, as soon as it came out about Greg, because the filming with me was before any of this came out, and right from the start, I did reach out and say it must be awful for the whole crew. What a horrible time, and yeah, I feel very much for the contestants. And in terms of life-changing, I got a lot of pressure put on me for that life-changing thing. And I'd probably say it'd be top 10 that could have the life-changing opportunity. But I did give a suggestion, you know, why don't you do a special show dedicated to these contestants that distance yourself from these people who've had these serious allegations? Make the BBC, you know, because for me now, it's not about John Turturro and Greg Wallace. It's about the BBC, and it's about that accountability and that enabling environment.
But the annoying thing is, it would have been better, wouldn't it, if they'd kept you in the show and cut out Greg Wallace and John Turturro and put in some other kind of presenter instead. I guess they felt they couldn't do that without undermining the integrity of the whole show, but that would have been a better outcome.
It's all been filmed as well.
Exactly.
Presumably that was the challenge.
Well, to be honest, it hadn't all been filmed when it all came out. It was during filming.
Right.
So let the BBC speak to you about that. But, you know, from a contestant point of view, of course I feel for them and you know, that's why I made suggestions. This is a creative industry. They should be creative about what they can do here. If they can edit me out, they can edit the presenters out, or they could do something different. But for me, the issue was these victims, these people, it got to about... Why did it have to get to nearly triple figures before something was done? You know, haven't we learnt any lessons from you know, the past? And this is the BBC. It's a big muscle.
Of course. So your feeling is that the whole thing shouldn't have gone ahead. Presumably you suggested that. What was the reason given why that couldn't happen? For instance, the whole series be reshot.
I wasn't given any explanation other than it was a life-changing... You know, it could be life-changing for all the contestants. And I was saying, well, you know, I was a contestant, my life hasn't been changed, but at the same time, what about the, you know, that could be for the better for some people, but what about those people who've been damaged? What about their lives have been changed for the worse?
So I think officially 83 complaints.
45 substantiated.
45 substantiated.
Yes.
So when you say triple figures, what
So 83, I was thinking for those allegations, you know, for whether they're substantiated or not, people are coming forward. And I was asking for a review of that process. How come it's got that far? What happened when, you know, one or two... These are people in prominent positions of power and been in an environment, and I have said, and I firmly believe, that powerful men do not abuse in isolation. You know, they have money, they have muscle, they have manpower behind them.
Then about the culture on the programme. You said that, that you made a complaint, that clearly this had happened in previous series. We now know that because the allegations have been substantiated. You don't want to talk about the individual instances with you and the presenters, but did you feel when you were there filming the show that there was a culture of turning a blind eye, that these presenters were being allowed to say and do things which in a normal workplace wouldn't be acceptable, and that therefore, you know, it was toxic?
I described it as a bit of a boys' game, and I didn't want to be part of that.
What does that mean, they were boys?
That sort of, you know, it didn't feel faithful to the people who'd gone in good faith to enter that show, and I just thought it was dominated by males that gave me the creeps.
And were senior...
And I fed that back.
And were senior leaders on the show, we're talking about the senior producers and executives, were they, you know, clearly going along with it?
I think I probably... This, for me, it wasn't as I say, it wasn't a big deal for me. It was just it gave me a sense of a discomfort. I'm kind of the principle here is, you know, the victims, those people that have been suffering, those runners that go to the BBC in good faith, they're 20 years old, and, you know, they think they made it. They've got, this is a great opportunity for them, only to end up in a dressing room with someone who takes their pants down. And it's like, that shouldn't be allowed.
But you
and what's the enabling environment?
No, but you are saying that you experienced a culture on that show which was turning a blind eye to what was going on. It wasn't a secret.
I'm not saying that, no. Ed. I'm saying
it sounds to me like that's what you are really saying. You don't quite want to say it in terms.
I'm saying
but that was
I got
your
a sense
experience.
of that, yeah.
Your experience. That's how it felt.
I felt uncomfortable, and I think when you know, without there being anything in particular, as I say, it wasn't a big deal. But when you then, it's like an iceberg, isn't it? Then when you find out something in the news about
yes, I wondered
I immediately got in touch with
when it came out, you suddenly thought, right.
I immediately got in touch with MasterChef production and said, doesn't surprise me, because if you recall, I called him a creep. So I feel really sorry for you, and it must be a really, really difficult time, and I would like to speak to Banijay.
Shall we do some right of replies? Because that's important for us to do that legally, apart from anything else. The company that produces MasterChef, Banijay, said in a statement they had considered Sarah's concerns and also discussed them with the BBC. A spokesperson said, we have no record of Sarah raising concerns with producers at the time of filming. However, when raised during the formal investigation process, we thoroughly assessed her claims, including reviewing relevant programme rushes. These do not support her version of events regarding inappropriate comments or actions by Greg Wallace, which Sarah has acknowledged.
The BBC referred us to their statement on the 23rd of July, in which a spokesperson said, after careful consideration and consultation with the contestants, the BBC would broadcast MasterChef as it is a life-changing competition for the amateur chefs taking part. The spokesman said the decision did not diminish the seriousness of the upheld findings against both of the show's presenters.
We approached Greg Wallace for comment and he did not respond. Previously, Mr Wallace said he denies the claims and denies engaging in behaviour of a sexually harassing nature. In July, he wrote in a social media post, "I recognise that some of my humour and language at times was inappropriate. For that, I apologise without reservation."
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and, you know,
Yeah.
I think either way, it's a bad outcome, isn't it?
Could I just say one thing? If they're trying to discredit me here, isn't that exactly precisely the thing that silences women in the first place?
Feeling they can't speak
They can't speak. Speaking out should be encouraged and it should be empowering, it should be liberating. But it's painful and it's stressful and it's discouraged. You know, we have to shift the dial on that.
And the fact that
really
it wasn't in the rushes, which is the sort of wider filming which happens, you know, around the actual film which makes the programme. I mean, as we all know, most of the stuff which happens isn't happening on camera at all, and that is
well, we don't
and that's the worry, isn't it?
Important point to make.
Thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you. Thanks for inviting me on.